Ex-cop Derek Chauvin found guilty of murder and manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. A unanimous verdict from the jury, convicted of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. The verdict comes nearly 1 year after a video of Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck for nearly 9.5 minutes went viral as Floyd begged for his life. The video set off international protests over racial injustice and police brutality. In Minneapolis, police rejoiced as the verdict came down.
Metro Police here in Las Vegas will be talking at any moment about this verdict, and the president is also making a call to the Floyd family and the family's attorneys.
And we're going to get a lot more done. We're going to get police. We're going to do a lot. We're going to stay at it till we get it done.
After the verdict came down, convicting Chauvin of all the charges in Floyd's death, President Biden told the family this is just the start of getting more work done in police reform. Vice President Kamala Harris also joined the call. The two are expected to talk at some point tonight, and we will carry it live when that happens here on Fox 5. And we're also keeping an eye on when Metro Police will address reporters. Let's take a live look at Minneapolis now, where huge crowds are gathering. And let's join the Metro News Conference right now.
I'm Under Sheriff Christopher Darcy, and I really wanted to address our community this afternoon about the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial today. The death of Mr. Floyd has become a seminal event in law enforcement and within our community. The Chauvin trial brought up a bigger issue about American policing, and we're always willing to have that conversation here at the LVMPD. We've been having this conversation for nearly a decade when we began reforms here on our agency. Substantive changes are not just procedural, they're cultural. We have worked hard to ensure that there is no environment on this police department for an officer like Derek Chauvin. Many changes have happened over time with the guidance and input of community members and representatives from our Metro Multicultural Advisory Council. These members have really helped us learn and implement change and have championed some of our most important policy changes. In addition, we willingly work with these faith-based partners, community groups, and even some of our critics. I want to say that I am so happy that we have some of our community partners here with us today. Standing over here to my right, Mujahideen Ramadan has been working with Metro since I was a very young officer, brought up on this agency. And you can tell that's a long time ago with the gray hair. But I remember sitting there as like a brand new cop, and he was teaching us about diversity and biases and how we can overcome those by working together. Next to Mr. Ramadan, we have other members of our community that came to us today and said, we would like to be part of this. We would like to be part of what's going on with your organization. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson, Pastor Gaston, Reverend Wright, and Pastor Cherry, and Maria Barnes for taking time out of their day to come here and be with us. So thank you very much. With our partners, we've been able to start working on recruiting a more diverse police officer so our agency will better reflect the community that we serve. We've been making changes. Prior to Mr. Floyd's death, Metro made several changes in our use of force policy and training policies. To name a few, mandating a recovery position, making that mandatory so that when we have a suspect in custody, we ensure that they are breathing and their breathing is not restricted when they're in custody. Mandating a duty to intervene and a duty to report when an officer sees another officer or a supervisor sees an officer doing something improper. Providing more direction in what de-escalation really means and training our folks on how to de-escalate, making that part of the fabric of everything we do. Every call we go on, we talk about de-escalation. We've prohibited chokeholds and neck restraints. We've made changes. And we've learned over time that we have a responsibility to listen to our community, to you, to learn from our community and to change. The strength of our police department comes from this community. It comes from you, the public. Among our many duties to the public, we're here to protect the First Amendment right to assemble, protest. Some of you may choose to exercise that right today. And we stand here with you, the community, to ensure, hand in hand, that they remain peaceful and that the message is heard. This last year has really illustrated a number of issues that really impact our community. And the death of Mr. Floyd was a tragic event that should not have happened. Having said that, today a jury has spoken and held a police officer accountable for their conduct. Our hope at the LVMPD, as we continue to work collaboratively and we continue to earn the public's trust. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank the members of the community. I want to thank my officers that are here, as well as members of the media and the public. I am willing to take some questions if you have any questions of me today. A couple questions.
Tom, you notice in Channel 13, I'm curious going forward, will you guys be using this case, the Derek Chauvin case, in your training now moving forward?
Well, I will tell you this. That's not within our training, and I think there's not a person on this planet that looks at that and thinks that that's okay. So that's never been part of our training, nor will it be part of our training. But yes, obviously, the illustration of what not following policy results in, I think, sends a powerful message. Yes, sir.
As a veteran police officer and as a civilian community member, what was your feeling when you saw that video, and what was your feeling today when the jury came back with a guilty?
Well, I will tell you, the day that I first saw that video, I had another employee who's now a deputy chief come into my office and said, "You have to see this video. It's the most disturbing thing I've ever seen." And he says, "I think a city is going to burn." And I looked at it, I thought I was just shocked. So it was just utter shock and disappointment. And then today I would say that the feeling is relief. Yes?
Many people today are calling this the first real victory when it comes to seeing an officer held accountable in this country for the death of an African American. Also during this trial, we've heard a lot of talk about the blue wall of silence. What is Metro Police's reaction to the conversation that's happened about the blue wall of silence, and what is being done to make sure that officers, one thing to mandate, but to make sure that officers are actually reporting when something happens?
Correct. So a couple things to that. Number one, we don't tolerate it. We mandate that it does not occur, and we put it in policy. But like I said, you have to change a culture. So the only way to change that culture is to enforce the policy and hold those accountable that don't follow it.